A big thanks for joining us here at the Balloon Fiesta Park here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're being broadcast on Channel 27 today. Thank you guys for broadcasting us and putting us on the live stream as well. 60 seconds, gentlemen, 1 minute to go until we are racing here today at Balloon Fiesta Park out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is our third and final stage of our Collegiate Cycling National Championships. An individual Criterium Championship will be awarded at the end of today, as well as Omnium National Championships for both individual and team. Just about 30 seconds, gentlemen, until you are going to be racing. Good luck and have fun. If this is your final collegiate race with us this year, thank you for being part of our family. We hope that you have a great, successful day out there on the bike. 15 seconds, gentlemen. If you're here watching these guys, now's your time to make some noise and cheer them on. They can hear you and they do appreciate it. Just under 5 seconds to go. Please listen for the whistle, and there you go. We are now racing bikes here today at Balloon Fiesta Park, day number 3 of our Collegiate National Championships. For Collegiate, this is your men's club race for a national championship on the line. Men's club now on course for their national championship here at Balloon Fiesta Park. If you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Gabe Lloyd. I'll be calling the action here today up on stage and also being broadcast live over the internet via Channel 27. Thank you guys for broadcasting and helping us out here today. If you want to tune into the live stream or share it with your friends, please do so at usacycling.org. Field now single file as they make that left-hand turn out of 4 into 5. You have one rider off the front. The advantage is not very big, though, so as we come into the block headwind, we may see that advantage neutralized. And again, we're still so early into this 80-minute competition. We still have an hour and 10 minutes to go. And riders now coming into 6. You can see that bunch occurring, right? Big bunching occurring into 6. And now you got that block headwind, and the bunch will go fence to fence here. This one solo UVM rider trying to make haste there. That's 3:23. This will be Evan Coleman for UVM Cycling. You're starting to see a few more riders suffer from the pace being set at the front. As it stands right now, the Peloton effect is very advantageous for anybody tucked into the middle of the field because you're just sort of being pulled along. You really don't have to work very hard at all in the middle of the field. You really have to put the most pressure on the pedals when you're in these tailwind sections just to make sure you protect your place in line. But when you have headwind up front, everybody else in front of you is taking all the brunt force of that wind, allowing you just to sort of coast along a bit, recover, eat, drink, eat, and then be prepared for some of the tailwind sections where you actually do have to put a little bit of pressure on the pedals just to protect your position. Sometimes the shuffle effect that'll occur in those headwind situations can be stressful for some riders, and sometimes they lose position in the middle of the bunch. But some experienced riders will be able to maintain their place despite the ebb and flow of the race overall. Riders turning on to 3 and about to get to 4. Evan Coleman continuing on with his effort. These solo efforts out here, or even a breakaway effort today, is going to be very challenging with this wind, because as you turn and get these block headwind situations, the effort required by a smaller group is much higher than the bunch overall due to that aerodynamic effect And as I was just describing, any rider tucked into the middle of the field is preserving a lot of energy right now. With over an hour left in the race, name of the game is preservation. If you don't like your sprint opportunities, your chance of a sprint, you start to do these breakaways, sort of a flyer to see if you can get anything going here. But Coleman now off the front by himself, putting in maximum effort. This is Evan Coleman of UVM coming to us all the way from Burlington, Vermont. If you're in the field and you have some team tactics, this is a situation where you just let this guy hang. Just let him out to dry. You count a little bit, and so you watch him go through the turn. You go 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6. So he's got a 6-second advantage, and that's fine. Let Evan hang out there. Let 2, 3 guys jump across to it. All you do is you keep it at 5. They will die 1,000 deaths 1,000,000 times over trying to increase that advantage, and you just let them hang out there to dry. You're protecting your sprinter in the field. You're just managing your own effort, riding tempo behind. And you have many more guys to share the workload with, especially if you have a team, whereas that breakaway is absolutely slaying themselves. We're at 12 seconds, a 12-second gap for your 2 leaders. 12-second gap right now. Let's see if this wind is affecting that at all. I would think through the crosshead that would have been tough, because remember, when they turn out of 2 towards 3, it's straight tail. They made the turn from 3 to 4. That's crosshead again. Now they make the turn from 4 to 5. It's straight tail. That's going to play advantage to the brake because they can carry more speed through the turns than the rest of the bunch. Advantage is ballooning a smidge. Let's see what we're at with our tailwind gap. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7. Let's call it 8. About 8 seconds. So the gap is fluctuating quite a lot. We went from 12 to 7 or 8 within the span of 2 turns. So this breakaway is very much being established. It looks like Maryland, for Gavin Blair, is actually putting Satchel Kim from Georgetown University in a bit of a hurt there. Not really working super well. Big head drops there by Kim, and Kim's looking around. This gap could be fine for these guys. Kim looks like he's on a Kelly Benefit Strategies bike, so he's part of a really good trade team, but he is unable to actually pull through with Blair. And CU Boulder just keeping this in check. I would say CU Boulder and Colorado State would want to keep the field together. 25 minutes in, still super early. You're still under an hour, but you have 55 minutes of racing left. And with these wind conditions, the break will go. There's going to be attrition. Like, you know that from the straight. So if you can control it as long as it's possible, and play in their favor. This is Colorado State's race to lose, as they're the defending national champions here. So actually back to 10 seconds. Fluctuations in this gap, very normal this early in the contest. And it looks like Satchel Kim has been dropped by Gavin Blair. Or perhaps even a reshuffling therein. So big changes taking place here. Overall, let's go see. We'll see what happens. Actually, I might stand corrected. It does look like the Kelly Benefit Strategies bike out there, which would indicate Satchel Kim is a rider that is staying away. Kim was a rider that was unable to, or unwilling to pull through. Maybe it was the situation instead of unable. Whereas Gavin Blair was trying to flick through. Wind is definitely picking up for us here today. So wind will contribute toward the outcome of our race. All right, our field all back together. Another counterattack through the start-finish line. The field all together right now. A few riders unable to maintain the pace at the front. Let's see if they want to continue on or if they're going to go straight to the Celtic Party. Speaking of the Celtic Party, the Celtic Festival has asked that any riders who want to come into the Celtic Festival just walk your way in there. Please do not ride your bike through the Celtic Festival. So you're welcome to go into the Celtic Festival, buy me a funnel cake, and deliver me a funnel cake at the start-finish line. But also only walk around when you're inside the Celtic Festival. Current race situation, you got 2 riders away. We are 28, let's call it 29 minutes into this race. It's an 80-minute total race. There, give or take. You will see 10 laps to go at some point. Right now we are still on time. "30 minutes in to an 80-minute contest, so we're about 50 minutes left of bike racing. 2 riders now separating themselves from the field. 1 chasing, and then the rest of the field behind. Your leader is behind the motorcycle. Motorcycle coming out of turn number 6. Is this Coleman again? My goodness. Look at that. Evan Coleman off the front one more time. He is now joined by 361, and bridging across is going to be Gavin Blair. So Blair clearly has some good legs today. He's trying to force it, but so is Evan Coleman. This is Coleman's second time separated from the rest of the field. Max Abner from Clemson University is the rider who's joined Coleman. So Evan Coleman and Max Abner, your 2 riders away. This is Coleman's second time off the front of the race. He did 3 laps solo before. Now this time he has Abner with him. And trying to bridge across is Gavin Blair of University of Maryland College Park. Blair has good legs today. He was also off the front earlier with our Georgetown rider. If you can link Blair with Coleman, you would then have 2 riders who have clearly demonstrated that they've got some good legs here today, now working together. Strength is going to be a factor in today. Sometimes you got criteriums that where tactical savvy outweighs strength. Today is a strength game. You know, out here on the airfield, there's no real elevation change. There's no real place to hide. You can actually see the entire bike race the entire time. We now have 3 connected. Coleman, Abner, and Blair now together. Field should respond a little bit. This is looks like Colorado State is trying to respond to this. Interestingly enough, the acceleration by Colorado State at the front is shredding the group. So we may be seeing the attrition taking place about 32 minutes in to our 90-minute race. Ullman, Blair, Abner, all together right now. Defending national champion Carter doing most of the work right now. Try to bring that back. Carter on the front there, on the back straight, pulling through turns 4, 5, and 6. Taking a look around, trying to see who else was going to be willing to work with him. Nathan Cusack was in that group willing to work. If you see a green felt bike out there with head wheel, that's going to be part of the Kelly Benefit Strategies trade team. And interestingly enough, a lot of these boys are in this race today. They race for a trade team outside of college, but on collegiate days, they wear their school jersey. And sort of it's this interesting dynamic where you have their teammates in some races and then there are not teammates in other races. And it's interesting to understand at what point are they sort of helping each other but then not helping each other in different iterations of what's happening. Right now, though, we're still so early in this race that we're really still trying to just establish the front. It looks like you're going to see big increases in speed here that will most likely just bring back this move. It looks like Coleman is no longer part of the breakaway. Coleman no longer part of the break. That leaves Blair and Abner. But the gap to them is now only about 3 seconds. So they're about to get caught here by what looks like to be left of the field. Field size is now down to about half of what we started with. Here come some riders to start finish. They are sprinting for their final places on the day. About 34 and a half minutes in, and we're going to start to see our lead coming through turn number 6, all back together now. And what is left of the field, you still have a few groups off the back. So strength going to play into this. The work there by Colorado State University at the front. Your road race winner yesterday for CU Boulder, Michael Hilligoss. Hilligoss on the front there. Just keeping everybody in check. He's also on a Kelly Benefit Strategies bike. Field's about, again, half of where we started with, of 78 or so. A lot of accelerations and decelerations have taken place when you start to get into this point of the race. The counterattacks that occur here have a little bit more potential, but you're still, well, man, you're still 45 minutes from the finish. It's still a very long way to go for a move. A lot of times when we talk about bike races, we break them into thirds. First third of the race, you are just sort of establishing. You're also trying to get rid of people that maybe you do not want to be around you in the bike race. Second third of the race, a little bit of maintenance, but it's also the time where riders who maybe think they need to separate themselves from the field sprinters take this opportunity to try and establish a breakaway. If in this second third of the race a breakaway becomes successful, and by that we define that as 3 or more laps away from the field with a gap that's at least 5 seconds or more. If the breakaway can establish and become successful, then in the final third of the race, the game becomes making sure that The field understands what their tactics are. Are they still trying to keep the brake dangling out there to fatigue them and then reel them in the final 10? Or does the brake need to work harder earlier to make sure that that brake doesn't get too much of a leash too soon? When brakes start to get beyond 10 seconds on courses like this, they very quickly can get out of control. So the field needs to sort of be doing this count, doing this math. And they also need to understand who's in that move. We are still in the second third of this race right now. CU Boulder, CSU, and UC Denver putting themselves in the mix. UC Denver put themselves on the individual time trial podium the other day. That's Henry Dunkelberger. These boys have a lot of work to do, though, to get themselves into a position of comfort. They're going to have to work the entire time today, from now until the finish, if they want to preserve this break. And at this point in time, it's about establishing the move, which is a full commitment. Nobody can skip a pull. Nobody can do a short on and off. Everybody needs to share the load equally, especially now as the wind lifts. The commitment is going to be paramount to their success. If this gap gets beyond 10, this is a different bike race. Right now, we have 3 riders away. They are trying to figure out their rotation to understand if they have a chance at success. They have an 8-second advantage over 2 chasers, and then a 10-second advantage to 11-second advantage over the field. This is right at the threshold of acceptance for the field, right? Once we get beyond 10 for the field is at the disadvantage with this win. Especially with an individual time trial podium finisher in the mix, with Dunkelberger there. Clearly you've got power. Let's see what we got. We got Dunkelberger for sure. We're going to get the IDs of all 3 of these guys. Looking at our 3 leaders now coming through. They have over 10 seconds on the field. They've got 2 chasers behind. And there's your Preem bell. Preem on the next lap, gentlemen. Preem on the next lap. Preem on the next lap. Preem on the next lap. Smooth is fast here for the field. The field needs to be a single unit of cohesion here. These big accelerations that we're seeing and these splits that we're seeing is basically infighting. It's going to play advantage to the brake. Every moment of infighting by the field, the response to an acceleration is going to be a deceleration. That upsy-downsy is going to fatigue the field more so than the steady state of the breakaway. Mather and Dunkelberger now extend their advantage. They are a full 15 away from the field. Remember, time trial podium, and Luke Mather very strong on his own right, having done very well in a number of races in his own day. Field's working together right now. They do not have to necessarily seal it quickly, but they just need to get it in check. And they need to continue to be smooth and see Hillegos, 3rd wheel there in the field. He's racing for CU Boulder. He is somebody that could disrupt the flow of the chase, trying to allow Mather to get an advantage one more time. 50 minutes in. Luke Mather Henry Dunkelberger off the front right now. Their advantage has come down a bit. On the body language of Dunkelberger's indicating a bit of fatigue here. Chin is dropping a bit. And now see Colorado State. See this conversation here. Not good. This is advantage back to the break. This is a good place to maybe have a discussion because they do have headwind as their other teammate out there. So the headwind is stifling the speed of the breakaway. So this is where you could do a little bit of discussion with other teams to reorganize, but at a certain point, you got to recommit. And even though you can bring it back at certain points, you can bring it back to within 6 to 7. When you let it balloon back out to 10, that's 3 more seconds you got to make up for again. So you're usually just hurting yourself every time you just continue to allow the breakaway to be steady state. Now I will say the body language of the break is not Thomas Gibbons at Athens level, so you may end up with a little bit of fatigue starting to set in with the 2 breakaway riders, Luke Mather and Henry Dunkelberger. Nevertheless, with CU Boulder controlling the field right now, advantage is still breakaway. Field looks like they're motivated one more time. We'll see if it's different jerseys that are showing this intention or not. But as we start to approach into the final third of our day, this is crunch time. Breakaway has established itself. It has now survived its way for a number of laps. They probably needed like 2 more guys to really make it a surefire thing of really making it to the finish. But they've at least put the pressure on the field. Now you see the field here accelerating one more time, not staying smooth. Sort of pulled a little bit of a group of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 away. It's going to force the field to chase that. Herky jerky. Here you got 2 leaders. There's your Preem bell. Preem on the next lap, gentlemen. Preem on the next lap. Omnium points up for grabs. Omnium Preem points up for grabs. Dunkelberger and Luke Mather off the front. Preem on the next lap, gentlemen. Preem on the next lap. Colorado State University at the front. CU Boulder right behind. Preem on the next lap, gentlemen. Preem on the next lap. Preem on the next lap. 7, 5, 3, and 1 Omnium points available for the top 4 riders across the line. As far as Omnium is concerned, neither of your 2 leaders mathematically have a shot at jumping themselves in over Hilligos for the Omnium lead. And with that, your advantage. So what's occurred here in the last half lap is that group of 10 that peeled itself away from the field seems to have organized with enough horsepower and motivation that they got close enough to the 2 leaders that one of them is trying to bridge solo across to the 2 leaders. So you have 2 leaders, 1 chase, a group of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 1 between, and then the field. Really what you're seeing is a detonation based on strength right now. So the strong riders percolating to the top, and that must mean we are in the final third of this bike race. We'll be seeing how Mather and Dunkelberger go, and Mather now dispatches of Dunkelberger. Luke Mather for CU Boulder. He's going to collect 7 maximum points, but in doing so, he has gotten rid of Dunkelberger. So your breakaway is now neutralized. Mather with 7, Dunkelberger with 5. Who goes for 3? It's going to be Coleman for 3, and then 1 single point there for Hilligos, in fact. So Hilligos, your Omnium leader, collects 1 more point for his Omnium overall, just preserving himself up in the lead. So Anthony Hilligos now extends his advantage in the Omnium overall after that last intermediate sprint. Final third of the race, your breakaway now just down to Mather, and at this point Mather's either going to commit or he's going to readjust himself. I don't really know what the strategy was for CU Boulder, whether they're going to try to get Hilligos just as high up in the results overall as possible, or if they're just sort of letting the bike race shake out as it occurs. The difference is one has intention, where they're trying to do it for one specific rider based upon GC, versus the other where they sort of allow the race to dictate and then they make that day of race call in the field. Looking at 10 laps to go right now, in fact, 10 laps to go. So we've now converted from time to laps. We've been racing for 56.5 minutes, but we are now at 10 laps to go. Mather holding on to his advantage, much in the same way that Aria Mundi held on to her advantage at a point in the race when I was saying that she would have a very hard time sustaining the advantage to the finish line. Of course, she proved me wrong, which is great. It's one of the best things a bike racer can do, is prove the guy watching the bike race wrong, because I'm not actually in the bike race. So you have a similar situation here for CU Boulder for Luke Mather. Mather out of the saddle right now for a long time, just like completely out of the saddle, trying to eke every amount of speed out of this bike that he can. Perhaps indicating that his lower back is hurting him a bit. But as he comes around, he's trying to look nice and steady. He's nice and aero on the bike, trying to get on the hoods there, dropping the elbows. The elbows are even with the wrist. Nice, good aero form. Coming through with 9 laps to go. 9 laps remaining here, 9 to go for Luke Mather. Now this is the work that CSU has to do. This is proper. This is exactly what they need to be doing here. CSU keeping this in check. It's not the time that they need to bring it back. In fact, Mather, if they can keep him at 5 or 4, Mather actually becomes part of their lead-out strategy, because they're doing just enough that CU Boulder isn't going to interfere with them, but not so much that CU Boulder is going to try to bridge across or outright disrupt their flow. But CSU needs to stay in control. They've got to be the ones to maintain their composure at the front, ride that tempo, keep that count in check for as long as they can. Mather is a rider that could push to the finish if the games continue. It's definitely not surefire bet, though. Any concerted effort from this field could very easily bring Mather's advantage down to 0 in the span of a few turns. However, if there's confusion, if there's a misunderstanding of leadership in the field, Mather could very well ride this to the end. Plenty of bike races to go, though. 9 laps to go. That's still a tremendous amount of pedal strokes between here and the finish line. This wind, though, certainly is increased in ferocity and intensity over the past few laps. And as this wind starts to lift, it'll change the dynamic that the field has become accustomed to. But this is good. What we're seeing from the field right now, steady, even, hanging Mather out to dry. Mather out of the saddle, showing that he's got fatigue. Mather now coming out of 6. We're coming up on 1 full hour of racing, 20 minutes to go about. Maybe less than that, actually, since we're looking at 8 laps to go. At 8 laps to go, 1 hour of racing. Mather riding steady as he can right now with 8 laps to go, gentlemen. 8 laps remaining. CSU on the front one more time, but CU Boulder right there. Now, the reason you would also allow Mather to continue on is because you also run a counter-attack danger of making the catch this late. Mather's caught right now. CU Boulder could counter that with any one of their strong riders and perhaps put CSU back on the chase after having done the chase. It looks like somebody else is going to be motivated. That's a white top that could be U of A, perhaps, out there, trying to bring this back. And Mather is now caught. Mather is caught. He has been caught by somebody. This is the time to look for counterattacks. If a counterattack happens right now with 4 to 8 riders, that group could make it to the finish if there's cohesion. There has to be absolute commitment from that group, though. Absolute commitment. That's going to be a full 3 to 6 minute effort, which is about 2 laps here. Well, 1 to 2 laps, let's call it. Just go for full 6 minutes of effort of any counterattack if they want it to be a breakaway this late in the game. Otherwise, what we're looking at is going to be control and order at the front of the field to simply set up the sprinters for the final kick to the line. Field is single file right now, coming out of turn number 4 as they enter into 5. All single file, no real gaps to speak of in this group. And they've now made the right turn out of 5 towards 6. A little bit of bunching, and there's your counterattack up the right-hand side of the road. Does anyone follow? Maybe 1, maybe 2, but there's enough of them that the field will be right there, so there's no real gap to speak of. Coming around the outside, though, and turn 6, looks like somebody's motivated to keep going here. 7 laps to go. Let's see if this means anything here for anybody. As we are seeing, looks like Hilligos. Anthony Hilligos, number 314, hitting out. Carter was the rider trying to follow. So this is how Hilligos won yesterday. He countered a lot of herky-jerky, surgy stuff that was occurring in the men's road race. Men's road race, well, actually, yeah, for these guys in the club race, he came across by himself after a whole lot of effort, a lot of counterattacks in the move. Hilligos now carrying that confidence into this move right now. So your winner of yesterday's road race in the club field, now leading the Criterium with a strong counterattack coming into turn number 6 with 7 laps to go. What's tricky about this is Hilligos is carrying an enormous amount of confidence. So he's got that little bit of energy in the legs, but he's also got seemingly the best team in the field because they've repeatedly demonstrated that they're able to control the field throughout the day. CSU did a nice job bringing back Mather, but there's only been 1 or 2 of them at the front the whole time, whereas CSU is CU Boulder, has proven time and time again that they've been very attentive throughout the front of this race, and Hilligos now extending an advantage of about 10 seconds over the field. Hilligos now looking very smooth, very motivated, nice, good posture on the bike, low elbows even with the wrist. Nice flat back as he moves himself towards. Now here's a counterattack from the field behind. Field knows it's late. We're in the final quarter of this race at this point in time. And these guys, rider down in turn number 5, just full send into 5 there. Perhaps a little bit of loose sand with these windy, blustery conditions. Debris can get blown into the field, but also with these aero wheels with that tailwind pushing these guys. When he makes that right-hand turn, there's a little bit of crosswind that comes through And if you're not quite prepared for it, perhaps you end up on the ground there. Hopefully that rider will be okay, but not also what that did is it disrupted the chase. Anthony Hilligoss now coming through here. Hilligoss, elbows down, nice and even. 6 laps to go, 6 laps remaining. And now 5-2-1 from Michigan. Hitting out there. That's Drew Cummins from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. So Cummins, Drew Cummins and Anthony Hilligoss. Hilligoss, your national champion yesterday. Can he repeat like his classmate Aria Mundy did? Aria Mundy, also of CU Boulder, winning the national championship yesterday in the road race. Today, winning the national championship in the Criterium. Hilligoss, winning the road race yesterday. He is currently your physical leader of this Criterium. He's also leading the Omnium. So he could be putting 2 jerseys on his back in one day if he can win this Criterium national championship. This is a critical time in the race. There is time for the field to bring Hilligoss back, but it has to be done sooner rather than later. CSU or any other team, they need to make that commitment at this point in time. They cannot allow CU Boulder to disrupt that chase, or else they will be at a disadvantage. I'm seeing Maryland right now doing a big effort as well. We saw earlier in today's race, Gavin Blair having a good turn at the front for a while. Perhaps this is Mr. Blair one more time coming to the front. CSU is sort of losing a bit of control of this though. They're not at the front right now. Hilligoss for CU Boulder coming out of this turn right now. He is determined he has to commit. 5 laps to go right now. 5 laps remaining for Hilligoss and this entire race. Now you got 3 chasers behind. Cummins, potentially Blair, but Hilligoss just needs to commit, needs to stay steady. And you're looking at UCD, that's going to be 5:04. 5:04 is going to be Andrew Papel. Papel for UC Davis. Now leading the chase with Blair there. With 5 laps to go, the pit is now closed, gentlemen. The pit is now closed. No more free laps for this race now that we are at 5 laps to go. Hilligoss out in the cross headwind section right now. Cross headwind for Hilligoss. 3 chasers behind, making ground on him. Hilligoss makes the right-hand turn in turn 2. He now has a bit of tailwind along the bleachers, but the 3 riders are only 3 seconds behind him. This group may become 4 very shortly here. Hilligoss into 3. Your chase into 3. Your field now losing time to this group of 4. Field is losing time to this group. They are organized though. They are single file. They are trying to get organized and bring this thing back. And you now have a group of 4 at the front of this race. They must commit to this. If they want to survive for 5 laps, this is their only time to get there. If they play any games at all right now, their chances of success are very low. Not impossible, but very low. They've got to commit. They've got to rotate. They've got to work together. Nobody skips pulls. Everybody's fully committed to this if they want to survive. Hilligoss clearly wants to do that. He would love to get a 2nd national championship, but any one of these other 3 guys would also love a national championship here today in Albuquerque. Now it's CSU's race behind. They've got to do the chase. They've got to bring this back right now. 4 laps to go. CSU is running out of time. 4 laps to go, gentlemen. 4 men away. Your national champion, Hillegos, is in this group. Blair is there, Bubbles there, and 3:11 is Simon Abramsey. So CU Boulder now with 2 in this move with Abramsey and Hillegos. CSU must chase now. 4 laps to go. 4 laps remaining. 4 laps to go. Fence to fence right now for the field. They do have time. I will concede that point, but not so much time that they can let that break get beyond 10. If that break gets beyond 10 seconds, the effort put necessary to bring that back and sprint from the field would be enormous. And if CSU is the one doing all that chase, it's going to put Carter at a big disadvantage here. Interestingly enough, Carter was floating at the back of the bunch last time through, perhaps trying to save any amount of energy he can just in case this bunch comes back together. Breakaway now entering turn number 3. Field entering 2. Breakaway needs to put in this effort. It's a 6-minute effort. That's especially challenging for Hillegos. He's been out on his own this whole time, but he is contributing at the front. You're looking at about 8 seconds right now for the field. 8 seconds. 8 seconds for this group. This will ebb and flow a little bit. This will ebb and flow, but 8 seconds is the last count. The field is coming apart. The chase at the front of this field is tearing it apart at the front. That's not necessarily good for the break, but it's also not necessarily good for Nick Carter, who was at the back of the bunch the last time through the start-finish line. But let's see what happens when they get a little bit closer. We'll see what occurs on the race dynamic. Now these guys are going to be coming in at turn number 6, your breakaway of 4. You have Anthony Hillegos, Simon Abramsey. I believe you have Blair and Andrew Popple from UC Davis. Gavin Blair is in that move. Blair is chatting with Abramsey here. And look at this. CSU not able to chase right now with 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go, and CSU unable to organize. Coleman is part of UVM right there. Coleman knows he needs to get this thing going, but looks like this breakaway may stand a chance. If we get to 2 laps to go, and this gap stays at 8+, advantage breakaway, no doubt. Within that, you've got Hillegos, but you also have Blair, who's shown that last time through, chatting a little bit, trying to understand race dynamic, but that comfort reveals fitness. That could mean that he could be one to watch in this sprint as well. Any of you guys have any picks from the 4? Blair, Gavin's number 1. Andrew Papel votes. All right. Anybody think Hillegos can outsprint them? All right, well, the crowd has spoken. Hillegos disadvantage if it comes down to a sprint. We'll see what occurs here, though. Big pushes here. Blair on the front, I believe, with that red jersey. Blair on the front, pushing the pace right now. These guys need to get themselves to 2 to go with an 8+ second advantage. 4 seconds a lap, that's a lot. It's not impossible, right? Anything can happen in this, right? But we will just trying to quickly understand race dynamic here. We're not seeing steady state. We're not seeing consistency from the field. That ebb and flow that's occurring from the field plays advantage to the 4. If 4 need to come through here, 8+. If they can do it, they can start to look. But they cannot let up the pressure here. Group of 4 trying to rotate here. Let's see what happens. We're going to start to count when we get to 6. Let's start counting right now. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8, 9, 10. Let's call it 10 seconds, gentlemen. 10 seconds right now. 10 seconds. 2 CU boulders are in here. 2 CU boulders are in this move. And here comes Nick Carter doing his own work right now, trying to get his national championship if he can. This is crunch time. 2 laps to go, gentlemen. 2 laps remaining. Can Carter do his own work right now to bring back 10 seconds on this breakaway? That's 5 seconds a lap plus a sprint ahead. This is not just a catch. It has got to be a catch and pass. So you're effectively talking about an 11-second margin. You don't have to win by much. You only have to win by a tire. But they've got to at least make that catch. CSU trying what they can right now. Your breakaway of 4 with 2 CU Boulder riders with Simon Abramsey and Anthony Hilligos. Yesterday's road race national champion Gavin Blair also in this, as well as Andrew Papal from UC Davis. California, Maryland, and Colorado all together in this 4-man break. If they can get themselves now to 1 to go with this advantage, this is their race. Will they get there? It looks like they will. The advantage is ballooned out to the breakaway. The field is unable to catch. Are they even on the course? Where'd they go? They're now well over 10 seconds. The field is no longer a factor. You are looking at a race win coming out of this breakaway. Breakaway advantage right now. Can Hilligos go 2 for 2 on 2 days of racing, bunch start races? Or will Papal or Blair bring a national championship to one of those 2 schools? You guys are here, cheer them on. Let's hear some noise because we are coming in to 1 lap to go of bike racing here today. 1 lap remaining, gentlemen, 1 lap to go. Come on, Albuquerque, make some noise for me, please. This is a national title on the line. 1 lap remaining, Hilligos on the front. 1 lap to go here today for a national championship on the line. The breakaway will be vying for this national championship. The field is too far behind to contest for the jersey. As we're looking at our breakaway now, we're going to call this out. 1 lap to go for the field. 1 lap to go, gentlemen. 1 lap remaining. Over 10 seconds to the breakaway. Over 10 seconds to the breakaway at this time. Your breakaway now rotating. Will anybody attack late? This wind is going to play a big factor. Crosshead right now. It's very challenging to deal with these conditions. Are we going to see any little bit of echelon? Will we see any little bit of hesitation? Remember, CU Boulder has 2 in the mix. Abramsey and Hilligos. Can CU Boulder come good? Because with strength in numbers, it becomes their race to try and control. CU Boulder currently at the back. That's a good place to be. Gavin Blair on the front right now trying to lead this out. There's enough time that he could sit back and recover, but he's got to be very cautious about these next few moments. Andrew Papal now second wheel with both CU riders at the back. Hilligos pulled through the start-finish line. This is very savvy tactics there by that young man. As he came through here, that gave him the opportunity to be on the back without consequence. Let's see what happens in order of operations. Blair on the front, Papal second wheel, Hilligos third wheel, and you've got Bramsey fourth wheel. Now we're playing games. We're looking at each other. Blair trying to drift to the back, trying to disappear just a little bit, just to catch his breath, make that gear selection. Now into the second to last turn. Do we see any accelerations? There is a big push there by Hilligos. He is now on the front. Is he working for Abramsey? As we come into turn number 6, we're going to be seeing a national championship come up onto the line. Hilligos is leading this out. He's on the front, but he's getting a gap. Can Hilligos come across the finish line one more time in first position? Will he be able to hold it? Hilligos is now committed, but here comes a sprint by Abramsey. Abramsey's going for it. Abramsey out of the saddle, and Abramsey is your national champion here today in Albuquerque, New Mexico. CU Boulder winning both of the club criterium. here today just ahead of Gavin Blair, Hilagos, and Andrew Papel. Here comes your field kick for the final place on the podium, and Cal Poly will be on the podium here today. That's Dylan Pollard of Cal Poly securing the 5th step of our podium. All right, you guys, we are on the start-finish line with our latest national champion, Simon Abrahamsey. Simon, racing for CU Boulder. Where are you from originally?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands! All right, my man. Well, the Dutch always bring power and strength to cycling, so nice job backing that up and being part of today's show. So you've been a big piece of CU Boulder for a few years that I've seen you racing. What's it like to actually win a national championship for yourself at this point?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. The feeling I had crossing the line, I've never felt anything like that before. Having been this is my 3rd year as a part of the team, I've gotten the honor to be team captain for 2 of those years. I just this team gave me a place when I first got here at CU Boulder, and I'm just so incredibly humbled to get to represent the firepower of my team in winning this race. Everyone did such an amazing job today.
Well, let's talk about your teammate, Anthony Hilagos. He won yesterday. He started the break. You bridged up to it. How instrumental was he in your win here today? It looked like it was pretty instrumental, but tell me from your perspective.
Of course, yeah. He was, he started that break. He rode last year's national champion straight off the wheel, guttered it, and just absolutely wrecked the field. And yeah, there were 2 people who were trying to bridge over there. And I just latched onto them, gave it everything to get in there. And once I got in there, since my teammate was in there, I was able to take a couple of poles skip a couple of poles, rest, get my legs ready for the sprint. That was absolutely integral from Anthony. And at the end too, he just pinned it right before the last corner, allowed me to sit in the wheels of the other 2 guys, and then, let me save my legs for that last sprint to the line.
That was beautiful. Well, congratulations, Simon Abrahamsey, on your national championship win here today in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Can't wait to see you on the top step with your arms in the air. Let's hear it for Simon Abrahamsey, one more time, your latest national champion here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.